film out on video on demand, starring Jim Gaffigan, whose world is unraveling before his eyes. It is a bizarre and entertaining indie comedy slash drama. We have the director with us, Colin West. Colin, thank you for joining us on the Film Threat Livecast. Thanks.
Hey,
Hi, Colin.
Thank, good
so
to
happy
chat.
to be here, Chris. Now, and yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's
Yeah.
great. You guys are like so like interactive and like full force, like in your face. It's amazing. You guys do it well. It's a good show.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, you can watch it. It's free on YouTube.
Yeah,
We appreciate it.
absolutely. You're
Uh,
doing something good for the community, I gotta say.
Well, one of the things we do here is, we talk about all the big stuff that's out, big TV shows and movies, but Film Threat has always been about supporting independent filmmakers. And in particular, my not so secret agenda is to inspire people who are in the chat right now to, make a film, get a movie made, which is something that you've done. Uh, but tell us,
Somehow.
I actually interviewed Jim Gaffigan. I think when this movie first hit the festival circuit, I was talking to Jim about it. But
Sure.
what led to this project? I know it was very well reviewed on Film Thread. I think Alan, you wrote the
Yeah, I
review.
read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so
Yeah.
much,
It,
Alan.
it,
Yeah,
it was, you
it's a
premiered
great
at
review.
South by, and that's where I saw it.
Yeah, we did. We premiered at South by back in March, about a year ago now. So it's kind of nice to be on this side now. We're coming out in theaters. We're in probably 30 cities or so across the country. All of the screening information, as far as the cities go, is up on linoleummovie.com. If anyone is interested in checking out if it's in a city by you. But yeah, it was definitely a long process. I mean, it's been this incredible journey. I wrote the first draft of the thing in 2015, and then we shot it in October 2020, right in the middle of pandemic. And now it's coming out. It premiered last year at South by, and now it's coming out a year after that. So it's been quite a journey, quite an 8-year journey to get to this point. But we're very, very happy.
Well, how did you put the project together and get Jim Gaffigan involved? I love Jim Gaffigan, watched all his comedy specials. He also, just having seen him in interviews, he seems like one of those actors that actually understands the craft of filmmaking.
Absolutely.
He is a producer in his own right, having produced television with his wife. I'm a Jim Gaffigan. I've seen Jim Gaffigan live, by the way, at
Yes.
LA Live downtown. So he is, oh my God, I always want McDonald's after I see him. That bit about McDonald's, but so how did you pull it together and then get Jim involved? Because he adds this level. And what's weird is, I mean, he is also on the heels of so many amazing comedic actors who then prove they can do drama. So how did you put the project together and then get Jim to be a part of it?
Yeah, look, it was, I mean, the whole casting process took, again, it's one of these, another one of the processes that took so long. We had an amazing casting director, Jessica Sherman, who came on board and got the script out and about to some of the agencies, and it was kind of circling around, and Jim had sort of come across it and really liked the concept and the idea, and him and I had a chat on the phone, and I just remember, I mean, immediately when his name came up, I was like, oh yeah, this is really great. I think Jim could be perfect for the role. But like, it was interesting talking to him on the phone because he had such depth of knowledge about, character and acting and all this sort of like dramatic work that he wanted to do with the character and so forth. And all these great questions he had for me and how to sort of collaborate to make this character even better. And to be honest, like it was like a no-brainer at that point. It was sort of like, oh my God, Jim, yes, like this is perfect. And I think we really hit it off. I think his ideas sort of really were so perfect for the screen. I think there's this kind of like, obviously he's known as sort of this sort of America's funny guy, and I think that rings true, but also he has such sort of emotion and kind of like subtle resonance in his like soul that like I think that is really what we kind of got to see in this movie. And I think that's like really exciting for me to sort of show both sides, because he actually plays two characters in the movie. He plays Cameron, which is this sort of like he's like a host of a children's science TV show, sort of like a Bill Nye the Science Guy kind of character who kind of inspires kids about science and these sort of scientific concepts. which is kind of like, that's Jim, you know, like that's like a really, you know, he's this fun guy with sort of, you know, kind of this warm soul. And then he also plays his kind of antithesis character, Kent Armstrong, in the movie too, which is sort of, you know, he's got to put on a mustache wig and a you know, and all that kind of stuff. And he became this whole different kind of character, which is completely the opposite of Cameron. And I think he really got to sort of stretch his acting muscles. But it was exciting to see him in these roles for sure.
One thing I liked about the movie is it's decidedly science fiction in the sense of, you know, there's the science aspect of it, but then there's that exploration of humanity. I mean, what inspired the story itself, and what are your science fiction inspirations as well?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you're right. Like it's funny. It's like, I do feel like there's this really kind of like, um, you know, heavy kind of like sci-fi sprinkle over the whole thing, even down to like the sort of synthy score that Mark Hadley made for the movie, which I love. But you know, I really do think like at its core, it is a love story, and I think that, you know, the best science fiction films, you know, use science fiction as a kind of like vehicle for telling other thematic stories. And I think in our case, it was this idea of like showing a love story, but using these kind of like larger than life events, you know, to kind of portray that between these two people. And yeah, I mean, my sci-fi influences kind of go back to, you know, all the way when I was a kid. My dad turned me on to sci-fi. He was a huge sci-fi nerd. I mean, my whole family, like I like to say, like I'm from a house of science. Like my dad was a mathematician turned computer scientist. My mom worked for like big tech. And so that was always like science and technology were always like a huge part of my upbringing. But like I remember dad turning me on to particularly Ray Bradbury, who has this like, you know, very kind of like suburban, down to earth kind of like, a lot of his sci-fi is much more grounded than, you know, say like Asimov or somebody. Well, Asimov has his own sort of like grounded nature too, but like, you know, Dune or something like that, that's like fully, you know, or Star Wars, that are like these big sort of interplanetary worlds, which I'm absolutely in love with. But I think what I sort of gravitate the most to as far as telling stories is more of these like kind of more grounded stories about people in these kind of like bigger situations. So yeah, I hope that's a long answer, I suppose, Alan. Sorry, but I just blab sometimes.
Well, we've got over 500 people watching us live.
Oh,
Please,
wow.
please smash the like button. We have a lot of questions for you too from our
Okay.
audience. So maybe we can like rapid fire go through these questions. I did
Sure.
want to comment that like when people talk about comedians transitioning to drama, I mean, if you go back and watch the old Charlie Chaplin movies, they were all built around some sort of tragedy.
Yeah,
They were as sweet and could make you cry as much as they would make you laugh.
for
So
sure.
so
For sure.
comedians, you know, crossing over to do drama, not a new thing. And
Right.
Gaffigan, in my opinion, having seen the film, has really proved that he can do it. So let's go through some of these questions. Dylan W asks, "What's the budget for Linoleum?" I don't know if you can reveal that.
I sadly can't reveal the exact number, Dylan. I think that is a great question. It's way lower than you'd think. We'll put it
Okay.
that way. Like this is a very it's an indie film through and through. And that means that really like even all of our marketing and all of this stuff is like it's all very grassroots. Like any word of mouth that we can get is really helpful. So if y'all do go see the movie, spread the word. It's really helpful for us. So
And question here, my go-to question: Will it says Lubitsch touch me? My go-to question is always: Will there be a physical release?
heck yeah. In fact, it is physically released right now in theaters. I don't know if you mean DVDs and that
DVD,
kind
yeah,
of a thing.
DVD.
Yeah.
So we think so. It kind of depends on how well we do in the theaters, and then you know, with streaming and stuff. I think there's a really good possibility. Yes.
Okay. And then English Batcher says, please tell us at some point how we can watch this. So it is in theaters. Is there
It
a
is.
website?
It is exclusively in theaters right now. Linoleummovie.com.
Let's bring that up, Alan. Can you
Linoleummovie.com.
bring
Yeah.
that up, Alan?
Yeah.
Linoleummovie.com. Check that out. Zavin has a comment, says, comedy is about the human condition, just like drama. And
100%.
Dylan W asks also, have you ever gone through distributor nightmares?
Well, sure. I mean, I have gone through distributor nightmares. I think our distributor on this film is really fantastic. It's Shout Studios. and they do a lot of amazing content, especially in the TV world as well. But they're sort of like diving headfirst into film in the last couple of years. So we're really excited to be with Shout. But
Shout,
yeah,
yeah, their
go ahead.
DVD label's amazing.
Oh
Shout
yeah,
DVD
Mhm.
stuff is fantastic.
absolutely.
Another question here. The nerd far away says, "What's your hot take on AI generated art?" I don't know if you saw Colin. I follow Justine Bateman on Instagram. She
Okay.
had this entire. You should check it out. She wrote an essay about the end of art. She thinks that AI Chat GPT is going to write scripts, is going to do
Yeah.
digital effects. Do you have a take on that?
Oh, trust me. Me and my friends have been talking about this for ages. It's definitely this kind of burgeoning tech sphere. But I do think I don't know. I must say, like, I don't think it's ever going to like fully replace artists. I do think that there is a place in the world for computer generated art and AI generated art for sure. I think that's there's no sort of stopping it. I think that's actually a good thing. And on our end as creatives, I find it good in some way for inspiration. I've been working on this like lookbook for my next movie, and I'm able to kind of use some like AI generated images that I've generated to kind of get the idea out of my brain and onto the screen, which has been really, I think, helpful, to be honest. But who knows? We'll see where it all goes.
Suli Jew says, "Building a rocket in the garage sounds a little like Explorers."
It is, yeah,
Yep.
I could see that for sure.
Zavin says, "Can an AI write a joke?"
You have to ask Jim Gaffigan about that one.
And then Akanika, what is your favorite part about doing short film?
I think it always comes down to the people. I think doing film production comes down to meeting people. So I think, with shorts, it's great because or commercial work or music videos or this kind of thing, because you get to sort of like taste test, and experiment a lot more. Because there's sort of lower stakes as far as that goes. So yeah, that's what I enjoy.
And then the nerd far away asks, what took the longest to do when it came to getting this into theaters?
Really, it just came down to scheduling. I mean, for us, it was sort of like, you know, the, uh, honestly, like I don't know as much as the distributors do. So like Shout had some, strong opinions about when this would be best to come out to get the biggest audience. And we didn't want to get in the way of other sort of like sci-fi movies that are in this same world. So I think they kind of settled on these dates, and I'm happy it's been going really well. So
Cool. And then Solomon Thornton asks, how'd you get your movie promoted? How do you promote the film? Kind of like what you're doing right now.
doing it right now. I mean,
Yeah.
look, no, it's great because I get to talk to such interesting people who have great
Yeah.
questions like this. I mean, to be honest, like it's so much fun. And like, especially as a filmmaker, you get to like go to these screenings and film festivals. I think was a big way of helping us get promotions. And Gaffigan's gone on Stephen Colbert. He's on Seth Meyers tonight to talk about the movie. He was on The View yesterday to talk about the movie, which was fun to watch. So all that's online if you're interested in hearing more about it from his perspective.
And let's see, last question here. This is a good one to end on. Lubitsch Touched Me, who's a member. What is your favorite sci-fi movie?
Man, that is such a good question. I gotta say, there's one that kind of has been with me since I saw it about 2-3 years ago, and it's a movie called Ikari XB1. Have you guys heard of this film?
I haven't.
All right, so this was like a kind of long lost film, and it's black and white from I think the '60s Russian film. It's incredible, guys. Like it's like 2001 before 2001. Like there are
Oh,
shots taken, like almost taken, sort of like frame by frame into 2001. Like it's an incredible film. It's just sort of getting a lot more hype. I think it played at I think there was like a re-release at Cannes or something like that a few years back, and it kind of got people talking about it a lot more. But it's a really fantastic movie about basically this spaceship that leaves Earth to try to find like a new inhabitable planet, and like the dynamics on the on the ship start to get really freaky deaky. So yeah, written by the same people who did Tarkovsky's, or the same person who did Tchaikovsky's Solaris. So it's got that kind of like, it's got that really surreal vibe to it, and the costumes are ridiculous. It's like low budget too. So anyway, highly recommend that one.
well, I just looked it up on IMDb. It says the original title is Ikari XB1. On IMDb, it says Icarus XB1, but it's
Yes.
1963.
Yes.
It's set 200 years into the future. Wow.
And I've only been able to see it. I have a DVD on my shelf, and that's the only. I saw it at a film festival. I saw it at the Boston Sci-Fi Film Festival a couple of years ago,
Uh-huh.
and the only way I've found out how to watch it is via my DVD. So I don't know where
Oh, wow.
else y'all can get it, but yes, it's a good one. It's for the archives, you know.
I'm adding it to my list. That's awesome. Well, Colin, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. The movie is Linoleum. It is in theaters. Go to linoleummovie.com. Is that right?
That's it. Yeah. Thank you so much for your support, guys. And it's
Linoleum
been nice
Movie.
talking.
Yeah, great talking to you. Come back again when you've got another project to talk about.
Will do. All right. Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Chris.
Take care, Colin.